All music was once new, and all art was once new as well. I have here in the studio San Antonio-based artist Fernando Andrade, and he has an exhibition that will be showing at the Rockport Center for the Arts. Welcome, Fernando.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So glad to have you here. Now, your exhibition is titled Confluence, and that will be at Rockport Center for the Arts from April 28th through June 11th. Describe the inspiration and the work in this exhibition.
Yes, so in this exhibition, I'm bringing together two different styles that I work on, which is a figurative drawing and abstract painting. So again, in this exhibit, you'll be able to experience both sides of my work. It all happened in 2020, when I was in the studio just doing a lot of abstract paintings. I remember being there as a way of meditation and staying active in the studio, working with a lot of color mixing. And then I remember getting an idea to start incorporating figures, almost like floating in these abstract paintings. So that was the first time that I kind of started experimenting with that, bringing these two techniques together. And I started calling it suspended thoughts. So as a way to that's kind of how I was feeling. I felt like we're all kind of feeling like, where are we? Where are we going? You know, what's happening? Again, I felt like using color was very important. And so yeah, that's what I'll be exhibiting.
And so the Confluence exhibit is actually, you've chosen some works from two previous series, as you mentioned, Suspended Thoughts, and also Espacios. Does that mean spaces in Spanish?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I started kind of creating these abstract spaces. So usually when I was working before that, I was always working from sketches. And when I started doing these spaces, I was just mixing the colors and without no sketches on the canvas or anything. So I was kind of going as the painting was building itself as I was going, just kind of trusting the process, or in a way kind of letting the painting speak to me. I felt like that worked too, almost like the meditative process, you know.
This work, some of it represents, you mentioned in your bio, struggles of mental health taking place during the pandemic. And I think that the pandemic has encouraged and inspired art all over the world in all kinds of forms, musical and painting, drawing, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, like I said, being in the studio, it really, was a time to reflect and to kind of look inside, right, and start thinking, like, what's happening around us. I was thinking about my family a lot in Mexico, my parents here, and I felt like it was important to really think about about our mental health. So I feel that through art and music, that's definitely a great way to kind of explore that.
So your work also addresses the many facets of the immigrant experience, which is ongoing, and we just hear about these things all the time, but you have some personal connection with what people are going through in Mexico and some of the reasons for why people are trying to just have a better life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going back to when I visited my family, just kind of seeing what's happening there. I was born in the border town of Acuña, which is a border town with Del Rio, Texas. Just kind of seeing what's happening there, and also like a lot of the migration that's happening from the south of Mexico to those border towns, for work. It just kind of gives you a different perspective on that.
Other socio-political issues such as gun violence you also address in some of your art.
Yeah, I believe it was like 2012, I began a series talking about the socio-political kind of events that are happening in Mexico and the U.S. due to the drug violence and the cartel violence. That is also it's close to my heart. Now when I go back to my hometown, there's military kind of patrolling the area that wasn't there when I was growing up.
You've exhibited and worked with galleries all over the country, but this is your first time showing in the Coastal Bend. How did you get connected with Rockport Center for the Arts?
Yeah, so it's the first time showing here. I remember Luis Buron, meeting him in 2014, I believe. I had an exhibit in San Antonio at Blue Star. We just started talking, and I think he was very drawn to my work, and we've stayed in touch since, and we've been following each other. Then he invited me a couple years ago to give some workshops at the Rockport Center. I think also Elena did a studio visit, I think last year. So, that's when she saw the work of my figurative with the abstract kind of merging together. And I think that kind of opened doors for that.
You have an event on Friday at 12:30. It will be an artist talk. What can attendees be expecting from that?
I think it'll be a great time for me to really kind of go more in depth with some of the paintings and if the visitors have specific questions. I think sometimes it's a lot that kind of happens in the studio and I don't even have time to, write about or think about. So I've always, I really like spending time, with the viewer and just kind of having that communication with, I think at the end of the day, that's what artists is supposed to do, right? Kind of open up a communication or a conversation.
Again, that's 12:30 on Friday, a free artist talk where Fernando will be discussing his work. And of course, that's at Rockport Center for the Arts in Rockport. Fernando, it's been just a pleasure having you here, and how exciting that everybody in the Coastal Bend who heads that way can see your work at Rockport Center for the Arts. We wish you great success and have a nice show.
Thank you for everything. And thank you for everyone at Rockport. Super supportive and blessing.
Oh, one more thing, Fernando. How can our viewers go online and see your work?
I show a lot of my work on my Instagram page. It's at andrade.artist, and also on my website, fernandoandradeart.com.
Okay, and I love that listeners are able to now just look up your name online, Fernando Andrade.
fernandoandradeart.com.
I've been speaking with Fernando Andrade. He is an artist who will have an exhibition that is showing at Rockport Center for the Arts. It opened on April 28th and will be on exhibit through June 11th. So run over to Rockport Center for the Arts during that time frame and see Fernando's work.